welcome back to this week's hashtag productivity. And we are talking to the Blue Ninjas again today. And I'm super excited about our topic today because it's so relevant and it's something that we all need to think about on a relatively regular basis. And it's all about getting your information to work for you. Now, you may know that information is really useful and it's relevant in our business. And we need to make sure we are checking it out carefully and evaluating it carefully to be able to make sure we are making effective and correct decisions. So whether it's through using the right tools or communicating effectively with whether it's internally or externally, and make sure that we can keep to our strategy that we had set out during January and February. And that is going to help us to enhance our potential success and help us to meet our goals. So as part of this month's theme that the Blue Ninjas are doing, they are talking all about using information while making it work and making sure that you are optimizing your chances by understanding what the information is saying. And that is like a whole mouthful. So I'm going to hand over to you, ladies. Tell me a little bit about the difference between data and information, because I think at the moment we are so overwhelmed with all of the data that we can collect, and we've spoken about some of it previously as well. But how does data become information? And just talk to us about that.
Sure. So data is defined as facts or numbers collected to be examined and considered and used to help decision making. So data can be numbers, dates, various pieces of probably going to be unorganized information to start with, just a lot of stuff. Information, on the other hand, it's about formatting it and analysing the data in some sort of order and to draw something out of it so it's hopefully useful. We're surrounded by data. The key is making your data become a game changer to your business. It's about being smart with what you collect, analyse, and how you're going to use that data to improve your business practices.
Absolutely. I think I want to just maybe add on to what you've said now, Julie. I think because we are so overwhelmed by data or data, depending on what your accent is, that really can really almost get us to a point of analysis paralysis, right? Because we don't know how to process that information or the data and be able to make useful decisions as a result thereof.
Yeah, I think having quality data is really...
Yeah, sorry.
I think we've got a bit of a delay today.
That's okay. but yeah, maybe Lucretia, just to jump in there, I think, as I've said, because we have so much data, we need to make sure that we are able to interpret it correctly. But maybe just to chat a bit more about why it's important to have the right type of data or the right type of information, other than maybe just decision making. But yeah, you can just chat to us about that.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, I think you've got good data and bad data, and I think you understand when you've got bad data, it doesn't work for you at all. So you're looking for quality data that helps to process and analyze, allowing you to make educated and informed decisions about what you're doing. And I think a lot of the time in business planning, people have their goals, but then it's like, well, how are you going to analyze that? You need your data to answer those questions. So you also need good data. So if you're collecting irrelevant information, what's the point? So I think it's really using that data to make good decisions and moving your business forward, of course. So there's different types of data. You could have marketing data. So this is used to develop and promote products and make decisions about sales, pricing, product distribution. If you're not marketing to the right place, your data should be telling you that, because the numbers or the information you're getting back will be guiding you on whether you're hitting your targets or not. It might include customer data, market research, sales, commercial transactions, customer feedback and surveys, and so forth. Then you've got things like project management data. This is data-driven analytics that enables people to track and analyze project-related data, so budget and project costs, in order to spot bottlenecks, perhaps, predict possible outcomes, and make adjustments to ensure that the project achieves its successes. When you're looking at a project that's not doing well, you need to know what's gone wrong, and you're going to be looking at the data and analyzing that to guide you on, if it's a HR issue, is it a financial issue, is the person not approving things that they should be. The data you need to pull into to analyze that, and check what the information is telling you. Human resource data, of course, analytics to gain valuable insights and create adjustments to address HR issues, hiring processes, performance, efficiency, productivity. If you're losing staff quickly, there will be a problem there. You need to analyze why. So you're going to be looking at a lot of information. And it's not just numbers there either. You need a little bit more information about, is someone's home life stressful? Is there issues? We've had an enormous year of upheaval. So there's a lot more than just numbers there as well that you need to look at. And customer service data, that helps businesses get a better understanding of behavior. So you can employ a strategy that improves customer experience. So some of the metrics you could measure there, first response time, average resolution time. So for the point that someone posts or, asks a question to the point that it's answered, backlogs, do you have a backlog of requests that need to be dealt with? Customer satisfaction, do you have a star rating? And customer service request volume as well. If you're getting a lot of feedback from people that something's gone wrong, you need to address that as well.
Absolutely. Those are all really, really important, and especially like from a marketing perspective. I know with my social media, like there's so much information there, there that we can use, but because you don't spend time analyzing it, you don't actually get to the point where you're able to make those correct decisions. But super relevant. And maybe let's just add on one extra one, seeing as I'm financially minded. Yeah. Data would be the last one, right? Probably not the last one, but one of the other categories, which is really about understanding what your business is looking like from a financial health perspective, whether it's looking at its performance or looking at its financial position. Making sure that you understand what's happening there can really guide your decisions in terms of the future sustainability of the business and figuring out what's working and what's not working. So some of the types of data that I might use there would include obviously things like your assets and liabilities and equity and your cash flow, but all of those really talk to three main components. And this is always how we evaluate what is happening in a business. We look at the profitability, which is basically looking at what is in your income statement, and then your solvency and your liquidity. And that is influenced by what is sitting on your balance sheet. So if you are not understanding what is happening with all three of those in your business, you are going to be hard pressed to get to the point where you're able to make good decisions. Maybe Julie, do you want to maybe add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of unbiased information is it gives you an opportunity to play to your strengths and improve your weaknesses. That's why you're collecting the data and why you're analysing it. So, I mean, but you do need to think about what data you're going to collect, why you're doing it, how you're going to do it, and who's going to be responsible for doing it, and when you're going to collect it as well. And, once you've got this together, and you can think about whether you're going to have KPIs, key performance indicators, or you're going to measure things like ROI, like return on investment on spend you're making on marketing. Is it bringing you the customers you're expecting?
Absolutely, yeah. Julie, sorry, Louisa, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I think as well, when we're looking at all this stuff, you've got to think about when is data not useful. When it's incomplete, corrupt, lost, compromised, out of date, it is useless. And I mean, I'm guilty of this from years ago. I hold on to the data thinking I might need it again in the future. It's irrelevant because it's not useful anymore past the point that it is used. So I think you should try to employ very robust security measures to protect your data from criminal activity. We've seen a lot of data abuses happening recently. A lot of questions come up of, is my data safe? And part of that as well is, why is someone collecting, say, my date of birth? Why does someone need my date of birth? What's the point?
What do they need with that?
Yeah, so I think as well, people should be pushing back and asking that question of, well, why do you need this? You haven't explained to me what you're doing with my data. And often, it's about, well, what age are you? Well, why do you need to ask exactly date of birth? Why not ask for a month or a year or something? So it's really pinpointing what's the point of giving that data and what are you going to do with it? Because a lot of the time when you see um, they're asking for a telephone number and I'm trying to join a webinar, I'm like, why do you want my number? Chances are someone's going to phone me 3 days later and say, right, we're doing our feedback for this. I'm like, I don't want to speak to you. I'm sorry. Unless, and making the opportunity to provide that data a choice is also important. So we don't want to be negative, but I think there's a few things that you need to avoid. So data that's outdated, it is incomplete. So if you're pulling through information that has no first name, last name, just an email address, what are you going to do with that? If you're marketing to someone and you can't say, dear Julie, dear Kristine, what's the point of collecting that email address? Or can you ask them for more information before you start marketing to someone? Data that's not relevant to your business goals, like the date of birth. And we will push back with clients on, why do you need that data? What's the point of collecting it? And they will, we just thought it would be useful. And it's like, if you can't tell me why you need it, we're going to suggest you don't gather it. Data that is biased, data that's messy. I think Julie can't stand to see a messy spreadsheet. It just drives us mad when we get all this data that comes through and it's just a mess. So data that's unstructured, difficult to access as well. If you have to sort of dig through the back end of a system to even get like quality numbers there, then why? What's the point of that, using that system, because it's not working for you? And also data that's compromised. And I mean, we give our information so freely these days because everything you want to do, you need to provide information to. So I think we should be more cautious about what we give and challenge back on why we're supposed to give information if they don't offer the reason why they're collecting something.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So we always talk about tools, right? You guys know me by now. Are there any tools that you would recommend for data processing or for information analysis, just in terms of all of the different areas that we've looked at now, whether it's finance, like what's out there that we can potentially use?
I think I'm sort of thinking about tools. Data analysis can be expensive. And I think Julie and I have been really exploring tools and systems and trying to work out, well, what are you using? When we talk about marketing, if you're doing social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., have free tools for you to use. So, think about what you're trying to gather before you step into trying to find a data analysis tool, because you will lose yourself in these tools, and they have a lot of features, but if you don't understand them, you're not going to be able to utilize them properly. So I think it's even Google Analytics will give you so much information for free, but you must make sure you set it up. So it's not a miracle that Google Analytics appears. It's something you have to actually do. Recently, Google Analytics changed though. So normally it would be a very simple structure of setting it up in the back end of to link to your website. I think they've changed the way that you integrate Google Analytics, and I got very lost with it very recently trying to help a client. And so, I've lost that point of knowing what I was doing with it, and it's not comfortable when things change either, that you lose that connectivity with tools. So I think Google Analytics is a perfect example of, it does so much, but you really have to spend time with it in order to make use of it. Make sure you seek advice and compare tools before you make a decision. Look at sites like AppSumo for deals and opportunities for discounted software. They'll often have new tools or new software that comes out, and you can test drive it for a relatively cheap price and then decide if you carry on. They offer some great deals, and often they're lifetime deals, because these software producers want you to buy them and then talk about them. So that's why AppSumo is a great place to start. To get started with data analytics, though, there's some small sample of tools that you can compare and automate. Julie, would you like to go through these I've talked quite a bit.
But I haven't really used them, so so there's obviously lots of other ones, what, like Teamwave and things like that.
Yeah, I think sort of the CRM tools, and I mean we've got quite a few tools that have reporting and analysis built into them.
This is probably when you need to do an analysis of the tools, just because it's a free tool and it's promising you magic. I think that's when you've got to sit down, like we said already, work out what you want to measure, and take a trial, or seek reviews. There's lots of different tools out there. There's Teamwave, that integrates project management, CRM and HR tools. There's obviously Xero, which I'm sure Kristine can tell us a bit more about. Crunch HR, which is a cloud-based software for workforce reporting and analytics. Zendesk, which offers a suite of customer support applications, a good help desk, knowledge base, and call centre. And financial reporting tools. Kristine, tell us about your favourites.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we want to try and get out of like time-consuming spreadsheets. As much as I love spreadsheets, spend hours in them, we don't always want to, and there are more effective ways of doing it. So some of the most, well, maybe the most relevant is not the right word, but maybe some of the cheaper options that you can consider would be, firstly, Wave Accounting has been free for a really long time, and they've done really good work. Unfortunately, they have closed it down so that only US or Canada are really able to utilize it effectively.
So disappointed.
Because it was really cool, and I'm actually still running Wave because I'm an existing client, but I used to be able to do like an automatic bank statement import and things like that, and I can't do that anymore. So that was really, really cool. They are now suggesting that people consider Zoho instead. So that is something else that you can consider. Their prices are pretty competitive, and it includes not just your accounting software, but you can bring in CRM, project management, like a whole range of suites or a whole range of software. Very similar, I think, to Zendesk, maybe just expanded a little bit. And then there's Odoo, which I think is maybe more relevant to where you guys are located. We don't really use Odoo so much in South Africa, but you've got the seamless bank synchronization that comes with that, along with your invoicing reconciliation. And all of those things help you to get to grips with what's happening in your finances. I think one of the two softwares that are most prevalent in South Africa, and I think Xero is definitely one that's global. That one would probably be looking at more like small to medium-sized and up businesses. And if you're dealing extensively with products and you need to do inventory management, something like Xero would probably be a better solution. But for us little startups, one-man shows, two-lady shows, to like small businesses, you can get away with using something like Sage Online. And it's got the full functionality that you need. It can include payroll. Like there's really a lot that you can do with it. So
have you heard of FreshBooks, Kristine?
Yes, I have heard of FreshBooks. There's FreshBooks and QuickBooks, which I think are also quite similar. I think all of these have very similar features. Your price range might differ depending on where you're at, depending on the number of licenses you're needing to acquire and things like that. So definitely some options to check out would include FreshBooks and QuickBooks, depending on where you are in the world, I think. Sure. You guys use FreshBooks?
Yeah, we brought it in a couple of months ago. We were with Wave, and what we were trying to do was integrate a couple of different tools that we were using into one, because we can run proposals through there, but it also links to our bank account, which we didn't have.
That's the best.
It's such a big game changer for us, because as we grow, we want to spend less time on our banking and accounting. So yeah, I'm really a fan of it now. And they were very helpful, and I think their customer service to help us to ask those questions at the start was something that we prioritized as well. They were great for we pushed a lot of questions to them, and they were able to answer them confidently and help us. So that was part of our strategy, was our list of questions to make sure our information was being used well.
That's awesome. I like that. Maybe also something just to add in as a side note, I know that some of the software providers also have some package deals for nonprofit organizations. So if anyone listening is in that space and you are battling with cash flow, then it might be worth just considering what other opportunities are available for you to be able to partially, or at least partially fund some of the subscriptions, because some of them can be a little bit expensive if you're looking at Xero, for example. But yeah, so maybe just an area to also explore. I think it's good to know that there are these opportunities available.
And I think as well
Okay,
with that
so final question.
I was going to say with that, also ask people that you know are using it, because they could also get affiliate discounts for recommending you. So it's just giving back to your colleagues as well, if that's an opportunity.
Absolutely. And who says that they won't pass that discount on to you?
Exactly.
You can always ask.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so how does all of what we have mentioned now fit into strategy? Like, how is strategy and information even related? And like, what does it mean that we need to make sure we are communicating this well?
Yeah. Well, everybody knows that we've got legal and financial reporting requirements, that's just a given for businesses. And you may have stakeholders or investors that you need to report to as well. So you need to consider that, depending on the size of your business and the type of business. But don't spend all your time and energy collecting and analyze data that you don't need. There's no benefit of having a CRM where you may have 3,000 contacts, but 1,000 aren't engaging with your business and your communications. And if you're paying for those records, just get rid of it. They're not engaging, they're not worth it. And in general, when you've gone through the process of, analysing which data you need, which data you don't, it's just such a powerful thing to have everything at your fingertips. You've just got that information and it'll take you forward.
I love that. Louisa, any closing thoughts before we close out this interview or conversation?
I think data is amazing, and how you use it can really be a game changer to your business. Keep it simple, know how to use your data, feeding it into useful information for you, but make sure that you're collecting information that is relevant and necessary. I think we've given a lot of information today about the do's and don'ts, but just be smart with your data.
Oh, I like that. And don't get stuck in this rut where you have to collect every little bit of data, right? Because as we said at the beginning, so much of it, you really need to pick and choose the select few items that you really need to have to make the right decisions in your business.
Yeah, and buy software and tools that actually do what you need it to do. Really make informed choices about what you need.
I love that. Awesome, ladies. It was fun. I will see you guys again next month, second Thursday. For all our listeners, make sure you're tuning in. It's going to be epic like it always is. Ladies, if you wanted to pop any links into the chat below, please go for it. Maybe just to add so that everyone can find that one, and maybe some of the others tools.
Great idea.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day further. Okay. #productivity out. Yeah.
Bye everyone.